Hello there everybody, and welcome to the entertainment headquarters. And right now it's review time, and this is a show that I've been wanting to review since I heard about it. I'm a big fan of the likes of Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, we've got the Narcos series on Netflix, and I generally believe these are the better shows that Netflix have to offer. As you know, Netflix at the minute is at the forefront of international programming. It has amazing shows from Korea, China, Japan, all of the great places like that. Germany, Norway. But when it comes to its programming from America, the good old US of A, it hasn't been focusing on that as much as it used to. But when it does bring out programming, it always shows that I believe are what made Netflix at its very best. And you've got Stranger Things, as you know, that's coming, the final season of that. You had the Narcos seasons, you had over here in the UK, obviously Better Call Saul was shown on Netflix, and a host of others. The Night Agent is another show, I believe, which is on Netflix, which is a good show. But this particular show is a mini-series. It's, a biopic slash drama slash, make-believe in some parts, because not the whole of the story is true to what happened in reality. But it's there to create drama, it's there to create an entertaining show. I am, of course, talking about the 6-part mini-series of Griselda. Now, first things first, Sofia Vergara, who plays, Griselda, I only ever known her as a comedian, as a comedic actress from Modern Family. I know she starred in other things, but anybody that knows her will remember her particularly from Modern Family as being, the very, beautiful wife of Ed O'Neill's character, who was a much older husband, and she had this son, and they became quite a comedy act together. And I've only seen half of probably Modern Family, but that's where I know her from. But Griselda, like I say, it is an amazing show. It's 6 episodes, and it's a show basically telling the story of Griselda Blanco, who became nicknamed the godmother of cocaine in Miami. It's set back in the time, like I think the 1970s, early 80s potentially, I believe, is where it's set in. And it's, it's very much true to the times that it's set in. And the rest of the cast are fantastic as well. So you have Sofia Vergara as Griselda Blanco. You have Alberto Guerrera as Dario. He's a great actor in this. Martin Rodriguez as Rivi, who is basically becomes a confidant and a second in command. You have Juliana Aiden Martinez as June Hawkins, who works for the police force, who her and Griselda's plot is like side to side. They're both women trying to survive, trying to prove themselves back in the time where women weren't looked upon as being, equal to men in terms of business or anything else. Like Griselda, she has a husband who you think's a loyal, loving husband, but he's shady as hell, and his brother is, a villain. He's a criminal, and the story at the beginning of this, because there will be slightly a handful of spoilers, the beginning of this story is Griselda basically is the wife of, a criminal, and he has a lot of debt to his brother, who obviously is higher up, is more powerful, and to pay off his debt, Griselda is forced to basically sleep with the brother. And it's after this that she realises that she can't live this life. She needs to take her 3 sons and escape and begin a fresh new life away from Colombia. And, it's a shady life as well she lives, because she is the wife of a criminal. And she kind of knows the lifestyle. And I think in the beginning she wants to escape it. And so she leaves that lifestyle. And she basically, she kills her husband after, he's saying, you're never going to get away with, from me. You belong to me. I own you. I made your life. So she kills him, and she escapes with, I think, a large amount of cocaine. And she goes to Miami, where she bumps into her friend Carmen, who basically gives her a job at a travel agent's, but she wants, to start this new fresh life with a bang, with setting up a beautiful home for her 3 sons and making them feel safe. So she decides to sell this cocaine to a well-known drug dealer. He is like the #1 drug dealer in Miami, and she negotiates a deal, and throughout the story you then see her getting deeper involved within this world, which is also proven she's smarter than her male counterparts. And that's the good thing about this. She's proven that she is one tough cookie. She is very smart, and she's really doing it for the simple fact that she wants a better life for her kids. That's how this starts. But the more she gets involved, the more she becomes more successful, the more she starts to outsmart her rivals, the more that she basically takes on, the more she basically succumbs to this nickname and the persona that she's created for herself, the godmother, and she basically gives in to the lifestyle, and she gives in to the power and the success it's brought her, and she then starts to go on a downward spiral. So that is her story. And Sophia, she plays her fantastically. Like, award season for television, I think, is just about over. The Emmys have been, I think. The BAFTAs have been. So it would not surprise me if Sophia is nominated next year for Best Actress in these roles, because not only did she transform her appearance, but she proved how much of a versatile actress she is in the role of Griselda Blanco. There's times she's very loving and caring among not just our children, but she brings in a lot of girls over. She gets them over from Colombia to help her initially sell her cocaine. And you can initially tell she's all about giving them a better life. She truly cares for them. She truly wants to give them a much better life away from prostitution over in Colombia. But like I say, the more she, succumbs to the lifestyle of what it's brought of her, being this, the godmother of cocaine, the queen of cocaine, and basically taking over the Miami, drug trade from the bottom to the top. She succumbs to the lifestyle. She succumbs to the power. It kind of drives her down a dark path, and you get to see that. And it's fantastic to see, and each performance from each of the other characters, that basically help tell the story is well done. Like I say, Sofia Vergara plays Griselda Blanco. You know, Alberto Guerrera, who plays Dario, who basically he's a third husband, and he's also originally was sent to kill her, but he decides to spare her life and save her, and he basically becomes a bodyguard, and he does a fantastic job at playing this character who at the end can see that she's on this downward spiral and is trying to help her. The character of Martin Rodriguez, who plays Rivi, he becomes her second in command and like a confidant. He cares deeply about her. He was there with the first Miami crime boss, the drug lord, who she kind of overthrows with how intelligent she is, and he respects her, so he makes the choice to stand by her. Vanessa Felito, who plays Carmen, who is our best friend, basically. She initially is against it all, but then she herself gets succumbed to the money and the lifestyle and ends up basically falling into, you know, the trap of what Griselda's setting up for her to be basically our accomplice in the whole plot of taking over Miami. And she originally had a very simple but, you know, legitimate life as a travel agent. But it's through her that these girls are able to come over from Colombia and come to Miami to be able to help Griselda, you know, build this world that she's creating for herself. Then you have, like I say, you have Juliana Aiden Martinez, who plays June Hawkins, who is in, like I say, you've got yin and yang. You have the Griselda, who's going down her path. Then the character of June Hawkins, who is in the same position. She's somebody who is trying to claw her way up in the police force, but she's not respected. She's not seen as on the level of the male police officers, and there's a lot of sexism in there. There's a lot of fun making, but she's the smartest woman on the team, and she's the one who figures out that this new crime lord or this new drug lord who is taking Miami by storm is not a male but a woman. And she figures it out that it's a woman behind this whole escapade of drug and, you know, crime. And, you know, Griselda really did take over Miami in such just an amazing way. And she invented apparently drive-by shootings via motorcycle. She's the one that actually came up with that. So it just shows you, as much as she was caring and beautiful for her children, she was also deadly and wicked when she had to be. So you need to look at this as not just from the side of a mother trying to raise her children and give them a better life. She's actually turns into quite a spiteful and vindictive and evil woman. And that's the one thing I felt that the show didn't really showcase. You've seen her give orders to kill, and you've seen her kind of go through this paranoia phase where she starts to doubt people who are her support, and that's a downfall. But I think they could have done a better job of actually showing the darker side of Griselda Blanco. And I think that's where the show didn't do that as well as other shows or other movies. But this is very, you know, very similar to Breaking Bad in that you had Walter White, who basically was a man diagnosed with cancer, decided to create, you know, drugs, meth, and became, you know, the king of meth in New Mexico. And he basically succumbed to the persona that he created for himself, the Heidenberg, and he just started to go deeper and deeper down that dark path with each season, and you slowly see that with Griselda Blanco in this mini-series, that you see her start off, like I say, as this woman that's trying to escape it all, to then getting sucked right back into then getting even deeper involved to the point it destroys her life. So it's a great story. It's well written. The dialogue between the actors and the characters was fantastic. You really could follow it. It wasn't too hard to understand what was going on. Like I say, the amazing cast were just fantastic. Like I say, Sofia Vergara deserves an Emmy for this, I believe. I think she did that much of a good job in this. And it's really surprised me how much of a versatile actor she was. And the whole show, the setting back in the Miami in the 1980s, you know, it was so authentic, so real to the times. I enjoyed this fantastically. I really did. It was just a really well put together show. The writers have done a fantastic job, and these are the kind of shows that I like, that I think are best and are the best in Netflix. These nitty gritty shows with amazing plots, amazing characters that you can follow easily and that get you gripped. And that's the kind of biopic drama, in some ways fictional, that this show is. And so if I had to rate it, I would have to rate it definitely 8 out of 10. I really did. The reason I'm giving it 8 out of 10 and not 10 out of 10 is for the fact that as much as I loved the story and the character and the acting and everything together, I think there were elements that were missing. I think they could have showed Griselda's more, you know, darker side. I know in episode 5 you see her hit a peak of paranoia, and you know, she's not just paranoid of everything going around, because she's also heavily abusing, you know, she's heavily, you know, influenced by the substances that she's creating and selling, the cocaine. It does make her paranoid, and you see her go down this very dark path very quick. But the other side of it, if seeing her, you know, I wanted to see a little bit more darkness from it. You do see I give orders to kill. You do see tragedy happen around her, but the Griselda Blanco I've read about and looked at was a lot more darker and a lot more dangerous than the one we see on screen. And maybe it's the fact that they had cast Sofia Vergara, you know, who, you know, she is beautiful, stunning, and the real, no disrespect to the real Griselda Blanco, she wasn't, you know, an ugly woman by any means, but she certainly wasn't on the level of Sofia Vergara. And I think she did her best to, you know, emulate her, the character of her, the story of her, who she is to her core. And she did a fantastic job. Now, there are some things I did read up about the real Griselda Blanco, and 25 facts, in fact, of Griselda Blanco. So, let's have a look. I'll read some of them out, not all of them out. In the show, I believe she's released after, you know, she's released from prison after 7 years, which in actual fact, it was a lot longer that she was released. And she went back to Colombia and she was assassinated by the very same, you know, assassination device she created, which is drive-by shootings on a motorcycle. I believe she was coming out of a grocery store and she was mowed down and shot down. And she apparently invented that way of assassination via motorbike. So that's one fact I found very interesting and quite tragic for Griselda Blanco. She supposedly killed her 3 husbands. Apparently that's a fact. She married, apparently murdered her 3 husbands. So Dario, who you see in the show, who is amazingly played and is one of the best characters. I did grow to have sympathy for that character. You do see events transpire with him. Apparently, Griselda Blanco also invented smuggling drugs through your underwear. So back in the day, you didn't have, drug dogs, you didn't have sniffer dogs. So it was probably back in the 70s and 80s easier to smuggle drugs into other countries via packing it in your underwear. So she was one smart lady. Now this one I found a very strange fact. She had a plan to kidnap JFK Jr. Whether that's true or not, who knows, but that is a very, very interesting fact. Now this is the reasons why I give this an 8 out of 10. Is because if this is true, I wish they would showcase this more. Because apparently her suspected death toll was 200 people. So you don't see many people die, or the ones you do are significant. But if she was, suspected of killing 200 people, you would have thought, despite the beautifulness of the show, they would have captured and showcased that dark side of her more, which is the point I'm trying to make. And that is one of the reasons what I think the show lacked, that they could have done a lot better in. So they're just a few facts that I've read up of, Griselda Blanco. But the show was written beautifully. It was acted beautifully. I think Sofia Vergara, as much as she's stunning, and as much as I've been impressed with her in the past in Modern Family, this for me was just a little taster of how versatile of an actor she is. And so I hope these are the kind of roles that we see her in the long-term future. And as for the rest of the cast, they did fantastically well. And I'll go back to the character of, because this is very important. Oh, I've just lost it. 1 second. Here we go. I'll go back to the character of Julie. Well, the actress who plays Julie, the actress Juliana Aiden Martinez, who plays June Hawkins. As I said, I'll end it with this. You've seen the gritty side of Griselda. You've seen how she started being a woman who was desperate to break away from a lifestyle that she ended up being more fully involved in, to the point she ruled that lifestyle. Then you have the character of June Hawkins, who was a woman on the right side of the law, that just like Griselda did everything in her power from starting from the bottom to get to the top, to eventually find and bring Griselda down to her downfall. So this really is a story of 2 women, and how both of them had a path, and how one went down the dark road and how one stayed on the right path and justice prevailed. So that's another interesting thing I loved about the story and loved about this particular show. So with that said, Griselda, if you've not seen it on Netflix, please do check it out. It's an amazing show. And I hope you've liked this review, and there's more coming real soon. But until then, I'll catch you on the next one.